mirrors everywhere in your cabin, of course. And all the furniture? You want us to change all the furniture? Yes, of course. The 2 stewards who did that job took the precaution of stepping down to the pantry for a few quick doubles to bolster their spirits. And Thomas Andrews came on board too, the designer of these beautiful ships and one of the kindest men. He was the only one who actually listened to the crew's request for our own quarters. The Olympic was the first ship I was ever on with proper bathrooms for the stewards. My roommate, Elizabeth Leather, she and I actually had room to dress without risking serious injury to life and limb. I used to stop Mr. Andrews in the corridors. He always gave me a friendly word. The only regret I ever heard him utter was that we were getting further from home. He loved his Irish home. I often thought later of how much he longed to return to Ireland for some much-needed rest. We were below decks when the Titanic took off on a soft afternoon, April 10th, 1912. But we could hear the send-off, goodbyes, fluttering handkerchiefs. We could hear the din of the ship's whistle and smell the coal in the air. Few crew members ever get a chance to see a ship's departure. I've often wanted to see the ship I was on from a distance. That day, I very much wanted to see her. But soon as the passengers were on board, we started getting calls. Oh, I would be pleased to bring you some vases for your flowers, Mum. 8 or 10 vases? Yes, of course. Yes, some of them will be very tall indeed. 8 or 10 vases is the usual allotment for a stewardess's entire section. No vase is ever more than 8 or 10 inches tall. But Americans, you see, consider it a sin if you cut the stems of their precious American beauty roses. I'm convinced they grow those flowers entirely for the lengths of their stems. When the Titanic stopped briefly in Cherbourg that night, just off the coast of France, Colonel and Mrs. Astor came on board. What a surprise she was! Instead of this radiant young woman that I had pictured, she was a pale, drab-looking girl. She seemed utterly bored. Clearly, all the wealth in the world does not make for inner happiness. And at the end of that first day at sea, when I ached all over with just enough energy left to crawl back to my own bunk, I saw Miss Spats come sailing towards me. "Oh, my dear," she said, "you look so tired. Are you going off duty now?" "That is my earnest hope." "Well, before you go, you might just as well pop down to the pantry and make me some sandwiches. And get me some cracked ice and some hothouse grapes and anything else that looks good to you." Well, normally, getting acquainted with a new ship is not easy. But in this case, it was mostly peace, good fellowship. The sky was clear. The sea was mostly calm. Titanic seemed contented, even restful. I even had a chance to pay a few social calls. I like to drop in on the ship's Irish doctor, Dr. O'Loughlin. His door was usually open. I would say to him, "Dear doctor, how has anyone so kind and so charming as you ever remained a bachelor?" "Well," he said, "and haven't I worn out the knees of me pants, what with proposing to the ladies? And sure, they won't have anything to do with me at all."